They cut me out with a text message. They erased me like I was never there. And worst of all, they thought I'd stay quiet. It was 10:58 p.m. when my phone buzzed. I sat at the kitchen table, glasses low on my nose, sorting through zip bags I'd stuffed with little seashell keychains for the kids. Each bag had a note, "Grandma loves you." My hands still smelled of tape. Then I read the words that split me in two. "Mom, you won't be joining us. Melissa prefers to keep it only her family. You've already done your part by paying." That was it. No call, no thank you, just dismissal. Typed out by the son I carried through 30 hours of labor. Daniel. The boy who once drew me in a cape for Mother's Day with the caption, "My mom saves the day." Now I was reduced to an ATM. Transfer complete. Presents canceled. The house was silent. Just the hum of the fridge and the clock dragging toward midnight. My suitcase sat by the door. Inside were 2 sundresses I hadn't worn in years, a photo of my late husband, Henry, and a lavender candle I'd bought to light on the beach with my grandchildren. I'd imagined us barefoot in the sand, waves rolling, each child holding the flame for him. They would ask, "Grandma, did Grandpa love the ocean?" And I would say, he loved it most when he shared it with me. That picture vanished in a single text. I opened the second message. "Don't take it the wrong way, Mom. It's simpler this way." Simpler. The word tasted bitter. Simpler to erase me. Simpler to spend what I saved. Simpler to shut the door and pretend I never knocked. Melissa, my daughter-in-law, had been edging me out for years. Hosting holidays at her mother's house, correcting me in front of my grandchildren, rolling her eyes when I told stories about Henry. And Daniel, my son, had just nodded along. Every Thanksgiving photo, one family-only shot without me. Every Christmas, matching sweaters they forgot to order in my size. Always a smile, always polite, always pretending exclusion was an accident until now, until the mask came off. I stared at my phone until the screen went black. Then I turned it face down. My throat felt dry, my chest hollow. I didn't cry, I didn't yell. I just sat in that kitchen I'd scrubbed clean earlier, the dim under-cabinet light painting long shadows across the counter. I felt one thing only. Shame. Not their shame, mine. For believing too long, for funding love that had already been sold off. When the clock struck midnight, I pushed back my chair. I walked down the hall, opened my desk, and pulled out the old laptop. The thing wheezed awake like an old dog, but it still worked. I clicked open the folder labeled Florida Keys Trip. There it was, $24,012.19. Every dime from tutoring, selling furniture, cutting cable, living cold winters under 2 blankets instead of paying for heat, all for this trip. All so my family could sit together again, remember Henry, and maybe, just maybe, remember me. One tab over, my bank offered a small gray button. Freeze account. One click, and every linked payment, villa, flights, snorkeling, car rental, the island excursions would vanish like mist. I hovered over it. My finger twitched. Then I pulled back. Not yet. I wanted to see their faces first. I opened another file, a blank document, and I started a different list. Not Daniel, not Melissa, not their 2 perfect little children who'd already learned not to wave at Grandma in the grocery store. No, this list was for women who knew invisibility better than anyone. Carol, whose son hadn't visited since she survived breast cancer. Louise, who buried her husband last year and still cooks enough for 2. Betty, who raised 3 grandkids but wasn't invited to a single graduation. Frances, who told me she hadn't had her toes in the ocean since 1968. I typed until the page looked crowded. Then I saved it under a new name, Those Who Deserve It. I sat back in my chair. The house creaked around me. Outside, a stray dog barked, then went quiet. My heart slowed. My shame cooled, and in its place came something sharp. Not rage, not even grief, just clarity. Daniel had mistaken kindness for weakness. Melissa had mistaken silence for consent. They had taken my devotion and written me out of their story with it. They thought I'd stay erased. But I raised that boy, and if he thought I'd swallow this like a stale piece of bread, he'd forgotten exactly who taught him to fight in the first place. The next morning, I brewed 1 cup of coffee, no pot for sharing. I set Henry's photo on the table, the lavender candle beside it, unlit. Then I pulled my laptop close. I circled the departure date on my calendar. Their flight to Miami left at 9:45 a.m. Check-in would be 2 hours earlier. By 7:30, they'd be lined up at the counter, smug smiles, family-only shirts, children tugging at stuffed flamingos I had bought them. At 7:32, I decided, their cards would stop working. I closed the laptop with care, like it was a loaded gun. I placed my phone face up on the table this time. If Daniel texted, I would see it. If Melissa called, I would hear it. But I would not answer. Because this wasn't just about a vacation. This was about erasing me from the table I built. And if they thought the woman they erased would stay silent, they had no idea who was holding the pen now. The morning came hot and sticky, the kind of Florida air that clings to your skin before the sun even shows its face. I didn't sleep much. I didn't need to. I sat at my kitchen table with Henry's photo, watching the clock tick closer to 7:32 a.m. At 6:48, Melissa posted on Facebook, "Off to paradise, family only." The photo showed them all crammed into the back of an Uber, luggage stacked, kids grinning with neon neck pillows. Daniel flashed a peace sign. Melissa smirked with her chin tilted high. Her parents squeezed in at the edges. Melissa's sister and her boyfriend in the back row. 8 of them, not 9. My coffee tasted like iron. I didn't look away. At 7:05, another photo appeared. The airport sign glowing above their heads. The caption read, "Florida Keys, here we come." I refreshed the screen twice, then set the phone face down. My laptop glowed on the table, waiting. The cursor blinked like it already knew what I was about to do. At 7:29, I logged in. My finger hovered over the button. 1 click, 1 second, 1 choice. At 7:32 exactly, I pressed it. Freeze mode activated. A blue icon blinked. All linked cards disabled. Manual authorization required. I leaned back. Exhaled. The silence felt different now, not heavy, but sharp, like a blade freshly honed. The first message came at 7:45. Daniel, "Hey Mom, weird issue at check-in. Can you check the travel fund?" I didn't reply. At 7:53, another. "Card keeps declining. Lady at the counter says it's not processing. You see anything?" Still nothing from me. By 8:07, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Calls, texts, voicemails stacking like a deck of cheap cards. I didn't touch it. I sat with my coffee growing cold and Henry's photo steady beside me. At 8:12, a voicemail came through. Daniel's voice, hushed and urgent. "Mom, I don't know what you did, but if this is about the text, can we just talk, please? The kids are here, Melissa's freaking out, her parents are asking questions, just call me." Still no apology, no ownership, just panic dressed as negotiation. By 8:20, the tone changed. Melissa this time, sharp and clipped. "Marjorie, this isn't funny. We have kids here. You need to fix this right now. We'll talk later, but you need to fix it first." Fix it. That's what I'd been doing for 40 years.
Fixing birthdays, fixing broken promises, fixing bills Daniel couldn't cover when he was younger, fixing dinners when Melissa criticized every dish, fixing family photos by cropping myself out before they could. I didn't touch the phone. By 8:27, another ping. Daniel, we can't board without confirmation. They're saying the villa payment bounced too. Please, just tell me what's happening. I pictured them at the counter. Kids fidgeting, Melissa hissing under her breath, her parents shifting uncomfortably, her sister scrolling through her phone pretending not to notice, Daniel sweating, trying to charm the airline clerk while plastic cards beeped red over and over. At 8:45, another voicemail. This one cracked, his voice low and defeated. Mom, please, if this is punishment, I get it. I messed up. Just don't do this to the kids. But here's the truth. The kids weren't the target. They'd just been raised to believe Grandma was optional. They'd learned soon enough that Grandma wasn't just optional, she was essential. By 9 o'clock, the airline sent an email to me. Booking cancellation confirmed. Funds reversed to primary account holder Marjorie Lewis. I read it twice, smiled once. At 9:12, Melissa tried one last call. I didn't answer. The voicemail was short, venom wrapped in sugar. You'll regret this. Maybe I would, maybe not. But regret, unlike respect, was mine to choose. At 9:45, their flight took off, without a villa, without a rental car, without reservations, without Grandma's wallet to carry them. By noon, the phone had gone silent. 52 missed calls, 24 voicemails, dozens of texts unanswered. I deleted none of them. Let them pile up like evidence in a trial no one asked for. Instead, I opened my notebook. The page titled, Those Who Deserve It, stared back at me. I added 2 more names. Nora, who once whispered at Bible study, the worst part of old age is becoming invisible. And Betty, who spent her 70th birthday eating cold soup alone because her children were too busy. 7 names in total now. 7 women who had carried families that never looked back. I circled the page, tapped the pen against it, and for the first time since Daniel's text, I felt something close to joy. Not because I'd ruined their trip, but because I was planning mine. That evening, I lit the lavender candle anyway, not on a beach, not with grandchildren, but on my own kitchen table. Henry's photo glowed in the soft light. I poured myself a glass of wine and whispered, "We're still going, Henry, just not with them." I slept soundly that night. No dreams, no guilt, just silence. At 6:48, Melissa posted on Facebook, "Off to paradise, family only." The photo showed them all crammed into the back of an Uber, luggage stacked, kids grinning with neon neck pillows. Daniel flashed a peace sign. Melissa smirked with her chin tilted high. Her parents squeezed in at the edges. Melissa's sister and her boyfriend in the back row. 8 of them, not 9. My coffee tasted like iron. I didn't look away. At 7:05, another photo appeared. The airport sign glowing above their heads. The caption read, "Florida Keys, here we come." I refreshed the screen twice, then set the phone face down. My laptop glowed on the table, waiting. The cursor blinked like it already knew what I was about to do. At 7:29, I logged in. My finger hovered over the button. 1 click, 1 second, 1 choice. At 7:32 exactly, I pressed it. Freeze mode activated. A blue icon blinked. All linked cards disabled. Manual authorization required. I leaned back, exhaled. The silence felt different now. Not heavy, but sharp, like a blade freshly honed. The first message came at 7:45. Daniel, "Hey Mom, weird issue at check-in. Can you check the travel fund?" I didn't reply. At 7:53, another. Card keeps declining. Lady at the counter says it's not processing. You see anything? Still nothing from me. By 8:07, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Calls, texts, voicemails stacking like a deck of cheap cards. I didn't touch it. I sat with my coffee growing cold and Henry's photo steady beside me. At 8:12, a voicemail came through. Daniel's voice, hushed and urgent. "Mom, I don't know what you did, but if this is about the text, can we just talk, please? The kids are here, Melissa's freaking out, her parents are asking questions, just call me." Still no apology, no ownership, just panic dressed as negotiation. By 8:20, the tone changed. Melissa this time, sharp and clipped. "Marjorie, this isn't funny. We have kids here. You need to fix this right now. We'll talk later, but you need to fix it first." Fix it. That's what I'd been doing for 40 years. Fixing birthdays, fixing broken promises, fixing bills Daniel couldn't cover when he was younger, fixing dinners when Melissa criticized every dish, fixing family photos by cropping myself out before they could. I didn't touch the phone. By 8:27, another ping. "Daniel, we can't board without confirmation. They're saying the villa payment bounced too. Please, just tell me what's happening." I pictured them at the counter. Kids fidgeting, Melissa hissing under her breath, her parents shifting uncomfortably, her sister scrolling through her phone pretending not to notice, Daniel sweating, trying to charm the airline clerk while plastic cards beeped red over and over. At 8:45, another voicemail. This one cracked, his voice low and defeated. "Mom, please, if this is punishment, I get it. I messed up. Just don't do this to the kids." But here's the truth. The kids weren't the target. They'd just been raised to believe grandma was optional. They'd learned soon enough that grandma wasn't just optional, she was essential. By 9 o'clock, the airline sent an email to me. Booking cancellation confirmed. Funds reversed to primary account holder Marjorie Lewis. I read it twice. Smiled once. At 9:12, Melissa tried one last call. I didn't answer. The voicemail was short. Venom wrapped in sugar. "You'll regret this." Maybe I would. Maybe not. But regret, unlike respect, was mine to choose. At 9:45, their flight took off. Without a villa, without a rental car, without reservations, without Grandma's wallet to carry them. By noon, the phone had gone silent. 52 missed calls, 24 voicemails, dozens of texts unanswered. I deleted none of them. Let them pile up like evidence in a trial no one asked for. Instead, I opened my notebook. The page titled, "Those Who Deserve It," stared back at me. I added 2 more names. Nora, who once whispered at Bible study, "The worst part of old age is becoming invisible," and Betty, who spent her 70th birthday eating cold soup alone because her children were too busy. 7 names in total now. 7 women who had carried families that never looked back. I circled the page, tapped the pen against it, and for the first time since Daniel's text, I felt something close to joy. Not because I'd ruined their trip, but because I was planning mine. That evening, I lit the lavender candle anyway, not on a beach, not with grandchildren, but on my own kitchen table. Henry's photo glowed in the soft light. I poured myself a glass of wine and whispered, "We're still going, Henry, just not with them." I slept soundly that night. No dreams, no guilt, just silence.
As the paperwork printed, I thought about Melissa's words. Act like the matriarch. I smiled. That's exactly what I was doing. By the time I left the bank, the air felt lighter. Not warm, not humid, light, like something had unhooked from my ribs. That night, Carol called back. I haven't even told my son. Don't think I will. This is mine. Good, I said.
Sometimes you don't owe anyone an explanation. Frances texted me a photo of her suitcase half-packed, wide smile, tears in her eyes. Haven't been this excited in years. And then came Nora's message. I never thought anyone would pick me. Thank you for proving I still count. I read it 3 times. Let the words settle. Count. That was all I ever wanted, to count. Not as a wallet, not as a placeholder, but as family. That night, I lit the lavender candle again. We're still going, Henry, I whispered. Just not with the ones who forgot you, with the ones who understand. At 11:07 p.m., a new text lit up my phone. Daniel again. Mom, Melissa says you're being manipulated, that maybe someone convinced you to do this. Please tell me you didn't actually cancel everything. We can still fix this. We're family. Family. That word again. Funny how it only came up when they wanted saving. Funny how it was always their definition of family, never mine. I set the phone face down. The candle flickered, and for the first time in years, I felt no guilt, only resolve. Because sometimes being the matriarch doesn't mean keeping the peace. Sometimes it means reminding everyone what happens when they mistake you for a servant. And my reminder was coming with palm trees and salt air. The phone wouldn't stop buzzing. By Saturday afternoon, I had 72 missed calls. Daniel, Melissa, her mother, even a number from Florida I didn't recognize. Probably the villa staff, confused when the family booking had been yanked out from under them. I didn't answer a single one. I had better calls to make. Sunday morning, I set the old percolator on the stove, brewed a pot strong enough to peel paint, and pulled out my notebook again. 7 names, 7 women, 7 phone numbers. I called each of them, not just to confirm, but to tell them the truth. I didn't dress it up. I didn't say it was a charity trip or some pity project. I said it plain. I saved for years to take my family to the Florida Keys. They cut me out, so I'm taking you instead. The line went quiet every time. Then came the tears. The kind of tears you hear more in the silence between breaths than in the sobs themselves. Carol whispered, "Nobody's ever chosen me first." Frances said, "I don't have a swimsuit that fits." "You'll get one," I told her. "We'll buy it on the island." By the end of the day, flights were confirmed. Villa rebooked. Every name in my notebook attached to a ticket. This time, the paperwork showed only one payer, Marjorie Lewis. No Daniel, no Melissa, no authorized users. That night, I walked through the house. My house. My walls. My life. I paused at the photo shelf, where framed smiles used to sit. Daniel at Little League, the kids at Halloween, Melissa pretending to tolerate me at a barbecue. I picked them up one by one, boxed them, taped the lid shut, then I slid Henry's photo back into place. Just him, just me. That was enough. Monday morning, a letter slid through my mail slot. Daniel's handwriting, rushed and uneven. "Mom, we're back from the Keys. Things went wrong, but we tried. Melissa was stressed. Maybe she handled things badly, but you didn't have to do this. You left us stranded. The kids don't understand. Please call me. We need to talk." I folded the letter once, twice, then tucked it into the drawer with the unpaid bills. He'd said the kids don't understand. Of course they didn't. Children believe what they're shown. And what Daniel and Melissa had shown them was a grandmother fading out like a ghost. Well, ghosts don't pay for paradise. Instead of calling him back, I called the villa. A woman named Dana answered, cheerful as sunshine. "Mrs. Lewis, we're so excited to host your group next week. Everything's confirmed." I smiled into the receiver. "Good. This time it'll be the right family at the table." That afternoon, I drove to the strip mall by the interstate. walked into a travel shop that hadn't changed since 1994. Racks of swimsuits, wide-brim hats, luggage tags. I bought 7 of everything. Different colors, different sizes. The clerk asked if I was traveling with family. Yes, I said. Finally. When I got home, I laid the hats on the table, one beside each name in my notebook. Carol, bright red. Frances, turquoise. Nora, sunflower yellow. Betty, deep blue. Louise, white. Beverly, coral. And me, black. Solid, sharp, unflinching. The phone rang again. I didn't check who it was. I let it ring, then die. Then I lit the lavender candle and sat with Henry's photo. They'll call me cruel, but you'd know better. You'd call it survival. That night, Melissa left me a voicemail. Her voice was ice. Marjorie, do you realize what you've done to our reputation? The resort, the flights, everyone saw what happened. My parents had to put everything on their credit cards. We're drowning, and you just sit there? Do you even care? I laughed so hard the candle flickered. Reputation. That's what it was about for her. Not memory, not Henry, not family. Reputation. She wanted to keep me out of the photo and keep my name off the receipts. But you can't erase the one who holds the pen. Tuesday morning, the bank called. Mrs. Lewis, we just want to verify that you intended to reverse those charges. Yes, I said, steady as stone. Do you need assistance blocking further attempts to access your account? Yes. The woman on the line paused. You sound relieved. I am. For the first time in years. When I hung up, I packed my suitcase. Not the duffel bag I had filled for Daniel's trip. A new one, bought just for me. Inside went 2 sundresses, Henry's photo, the lavender candle, and the black hat. That evening, the group chat lit up with Melissa's fury. She must have forgotten I was still in it. She's lost her mind. She needs help. Daniel, tell her she can't just cut us off. The money isn't even hers, not really. Not really. That phrase made me smile. Funny how what comes out of my paycheck, my tutoring, my years of scrimping suddenly isn't really mine once they want it back. I left the chat without a word. Later that night, Carol called again. I told my son, she said softly. He said it's crazy, that I'm too old to be traveling, that it's irresponsible. And what did you tell him? I told him it's the first time in years someone actually wanted me there, and I'm not missing that for anything. I closed my eyes, let her words settle in. That's what Melissa never understood. It wasn't about luxury. It wasn't about flights or villas. It was about being wanted. By Thursday, everything was ready. 7 tickets, 7 hats, 7 women who had been erased from their own families but were about to write themselves back in. That evening, Daniel sent one final message. Mom, if you walk away from us like this, don't expect us to come back when you need us. Think about what you're throwing away. I stared at the screen. Then I whispered aloud, what I'm throwing away already threw me away years ago. I deleted the message. Then I zipped my suitcase shut. Because come Saturday morning, I wouldn't be sitting in my kitchen waiting for scraps. I'd be boarding a plane with the women who still knew what it meant to hold a seat at the table. Airports used to feel like chaos to me. Lines too long, lights too harsh, families barking at each other over missing boarding passes. But that Saturday morning, when the 7 of us walked into Dayton International with our matching hats, it felt like ceremony.
Carol in red, Frances in turquoise, Nora in sunflower yellow, Betty in deep blue, Louise in white, Beverly in coral, and me in black. We didn't look like tourists. We looked like a procession. The ticket agent glanced at our names, then at me. All together? Yes, I said. All together. For once, those words didn't taste like a lie.
On the plane, I sat by the window. The engine hummed, the clouds broke, and Ohio fell away beneath us like a dull old page. Beside me, Frances clutched the armrest, eyes wide. "I haven't flown since Nixon was president," she whispered. "Then it's about time," I told her. She laughed nervously, but when we lifted above the clouds, she started to cry. Quiet tears rolling down her cheeks. She didn't hide them. None of us did anymore. When we landed in Miami, the air hit like a furnace, thick with salt and possibility. Our connecting flight to Key West was quick, a hop over turquoise water dotted with sailboats. Carol pressed her forehead to the glass. "It doesn't even look real," she said. By the time we stepped off the shuttle at the villa, the sun was already lowering, turning the ocean pink. The house stood like something out of a postcard. White stucco walls, palm trees swaying, glass doors opening straight to the beach. The concierge met us with iced drinks. "Mrs. Lewis, welcome," she said. "The villa is yours for the week." Mine. Ours. No one could take it away. Inside, the dining table gleamed under hanging lights. 7 seats, no empty ones left behind. I set Henry's photo at the center. Around it, the women set down their bags, their hats, their tiredness. And just like that, the house felt alive. That night, we ate grilled fish and fresh bread on the patio. Carol kept pouring wine. Beverly cracked jokes that had Nora snorting into her glass. Frances leaned back and let the ocean breeze undo 30 years of tight shoulders. At one point, Louise raised her glass and said, "To being wanted." We clinked. "To being wanted," we echoed. Later, I slipped away from the table and walked barefoot down to the surf. The waves curled around my ankles, cool and steady. I looked back at the villa glowing with laughter and whispered, "Do you see this, Henry? Do you see what they almost buried me under?" Behind me, Carol's voice carried down the beach. "Marjorie, come back! Dessert's here!" I turned, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was intruding. I felt summoned. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away, Daniel was unraveling. I knew because on Sunday morning, my voicemail was full again. His voice, frantic, exhausted, stripped of that calm polish he always wore. "Mom, please, the credit cards are maxed out. Melissa is furious. The kids keep asking why you didn't come. Just, can we talk? Just tell me what you want. Do you want me to apologize? Fine, I'm sorry. There, you win. Just, please." I played it twice, not because I wanted to hear it, but because I wanted to measure it. Apologies don't come with bargaining chips attached. His still did. I turned the phone face down, then joined the women at breakfast. Pancakes, fruit, strong coffee, no tension. Nora looked up at me with shy eyes. "Marjorie, thank you. Nobody's ever done something like this for me." "You deserve it," I said, simply. That afternoon, we took a boat ride. The sea sprayed our faces, the wind whipped our hair, and Frances screamed like a schoolgirl when dolphins broke the surface beside us. She grabbed my arm. "I never thought I'd see this," she cried. "You should have. You should have seen it decades ago." When we came back, Betty stood on the deck, her face lit by the sinking sun. "This is what family feels like," she said. "Not blood, belonging." Her words cut sharp, because she was right. Family wasn't the ones who erased you from photos or corrected you at the table. Family was the ones who poured wine into your glass before you asked. The ones who looked at you and didn't flinch at your age, your lines, your silence. That evening, I lit the lavender candle. This time, not as a lonely ritual, but as a centerpiece. We each took turns saying something we wished our families had told us. "I see you. You don't have to earn it. You're not a burden. You matter." When it was my turn, I said, "You are not invisible. My voice caught because I wasn't just saying it to them, I was saying it to me. Back in Ohio, Daniel sent another email. The subject line, "Please return the deposit." Inside, he wrote, "We're drowning in debt. Melissa's parents are furious. If you could at least refund part of what you froze, we can survive this. We're still family. Please don't abandon us." I stared at the words, "still family." It would have cut me once. Not anymore. I closed the laptop. I didn't reply. That night, the women and I walked the shore together, our feet sinking into wet sand, the stars burning close. We didn't need music. The ocean played enough. Frances whispered, "I thought my story ended 20 years ago, but maybe it's just a new chapter." "Yes," I told her, "it is." And as the waves rolled in, I realized I wasn't just on vacation. I was teaching myself to breathe again.
By Tuesday morning, I awoke to the sound of waves slapping the shore just beyond Zavilla's windows. For a second, I thought I was dreaming. Then I smelled coffee drifting from the kitchen, heard laughter rolling down the hallway, and remembered I wasn't dreaming. I was here. Carol had taken it upon herself to cook breakfast. Eggs, toast, fruit, all served on a platter far too fancy for the chaos in her apron. She beamed like a queen. "Haven't cooked for anyone in years," she said. "Feels good to be useful." I shook my head. "You're not useful, Carol. You're wanted." Her hands trembled around the spatula. Tears threatened. She laughed them off. As we ate, the women talked about the day's plan. Snorkeling, shopping, maybe a tour of the old fort. But my phone on the counter wouldn't stay quiet. It buzzed, buzzed, buzzed until Beverly finally snapped, "Are you going to answer that, Marjorie?" "No," I said flatly. But after the third straight hour, I checked the screen anyway. 36 missed calls, 11 voicemails, all from Daniel. I hit play. "Mom, listen, Melissa's at her breaking point. She says you're doing this on purpose to humiliate us. Her parents are furious. They had to cancel their own cards. We're stranded. We're broke. The kids are crying. Please, just send something. Anything. A refund, half, even a quarter. Please." His voice cracked. Not with remorse, no, with desperation. Another voicemail followed, Melissa this time. Her words clipped, driddle. "Marjorie, I hope you're proud of yourself. Daniel's ashamed, the kids are embarrassed, and my parents say you've ruined us financially. Do you understand? Ruined. You're supposed to be the elder, the example. Instead, you're vindictive, you're cruel. When we get back, don't expect a place in our home. Don't expect visits. You've burned that bridge." I played it twice, then deleted it. Cruel. Funny word. They thought it was cruel to stop paying for my own erasure. Cruel to pull the rug out from under their family-only photo. Cruel to say no after years of yes. I looked out at the women sitting on the patio, sipping coffee, sunlight catching their faces. That wasn't cruelty. That was clarity. At noon, we boarded a small boat for snorkeling. The water was clear as glass. Frances was terrified at first, clutching my hand as we slid off the side, masks tight, flippers awkward. But when her face dipped under and she saw the reef, blue, red, gold, alive, she let go of me. She floated, weightless, laughing through the snorkel. When she came up, she shouted, "It's beautiful! It's all still here!" Her joy was enough to drown Melissa's poison. That evening, we lit the lavender candle again. Each woman spoke a truth she had never said out loud. "Beverly, my brother never thanked me for caring for him, not once, and I let that eat me alive." Nora, I stopped singing in church because no one looked at me when I did. Carol, I still keep a coat by the door in case my son ever comes to visit. It's been 12 years. They spoke, and I listened, and I realized I wasn't the only one cut out of a photo. We all were. Later that night, I checked my email. A new subject line stared back at me. Legal action. Melissa had written it, not Daniel. The email was venom disguised as formality. Marjorie, by freezing the account, you engaged in fraudulent interference. We've spoken to an attorney. If you don't release the funds within 72 hours, we'll pursue damages. This isn't just about family anymore. It's about law. I smiled. Law. My name was on every account, every receipt, every dime. Fraud required lies, and the only liars here were the ones who told me I'd be joining them. Still, I saved the email, printed it out, slid it into a folder I labeled Evidence. Not because I was afraid, but because I wanted the satisfaction of holding their threats in my hands and knowing they had no weight. The next morning, I walked into town. The streets of Key West were alive with music and roosters strutting between mopeds. I stepped into a little shop and bought a journal. Leather cover, thick paper. On the first page, I wrote 3 words: My true family. That night at dinner, I showed it to the women. I said, this is ours now. Each of us writes something every day. A memory, a hope, a confession, doesn't matter what. Just write. So no one can erase us again. They nodded, each face glowing in the candlelight. Meanwhile, another voicemail buzzed in. Daniel again. His voice lowered this time, almost broken. Mom, I don't know how to fix this. Melissa says you've turned against us, that you hate us. The kids keep asking why you didn't come. I told them you had other plans. They cried. I don't know what to say anymore. Please, just call me back. Tell me what you want. What I wanted? For him to remember who raised him. For him to remember the woman who paid his college tuition when scholarships fell short. For him to remember the nights I stayed awake sewing costumes, cooking meals, patching his life together. What I wanted was impossible. The son who once drew me with a cape, not the man who handed me a receipt. So I didn't call back. Instead, I passed the journal around. Beverly wrote first. Her hand shook, but her words were steady. I matter. And that was enough for me.
By the end of the week, the villa felt like home. The women laughed louder, walked taller, wrote bolder words in the journal every night. I'd never seen them shine so bright. But back in Ohio, the storm kept circling. On Friday, a new voicemail came through. Daniel's voice, low, ragged. Mom, I'm at your house. I know you're ignoring me. Melissa's furious. The kids keep asking questions. Please, just open the door. He had gone to my doorstep, my empty porch, talking to shadows. I didn't answer. I just wrote in the journal. He knocked. I stayed away. 2 days later, another message. Harder this time. Colder. If this is how you want it, fine. Don't call us when you're sick, when you're dying. Don't expect forgiveness. I laughed when I read it aloud at dinner. Don't they see? That's not punishment. That's release. Carol raised her glass. To release. We drink. The next morning, our last in the Keys, we carried the journal and the lavender candle to the beach. We lit it by the waves, each woman saying the one truth she'd been waiting decades to speak. When it was my turn, I whispered, I am not invisible. The ocean carried it away like a promise. Back in Ohio, 3 days later, Daniel showed up in person. I was sitting at my kitchen table when his car pulled into the drive. He knocked, hard, frantic. Mom, we need to talk. I didn't move. I let him knock until his voice cracked. You can't just erase me. I'm your son. Finally, I opened the door, but only halfway. You erased yourself, Daniel, when you sold my love for a plane ticket. He stammered. It was Melissa. She pushed. No, you laughed. You agreed. You sent the text. His face fell. He looked older, smaller than I remembered. So what now? You're cutting me out? After everything? I looked him in the eye. I already did. Legally, financially, completely. There's nothing left to cut. He froze, then whispered, What about family? I shook my head. Family isn't the ones who erase you from photos, Daniel. Family is the ones who save you a seat at the table. And you never did. I closed the door. Not slammed, just shut. From the window, I watched him stand there, staring at the wood, like it might still open. Then he walked back to his car, shoulders low, defeated. I poured myself tea, sat down, wrote the final line in the journal. They asked me to fund their paradise. Instead, I built my own. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. Kindness bred their entitlement. Silence ended it.